Dear Harstem, I will admit immediately that I am but a man. What you are about to witness was not the perfect game of StarCraft. Hell, it was not even close. Even so, I sincerely believe that at the end of it you will see that I have provided you with your white will. A replay that unequivocally proves an imbalance in this game. Protoss is the poop. The poop. I was Mr. Money this game. Capital manifest. My economy was flawless. My opponent skill floored. I took all the bases, 9 or 10 to his meager 4. My economy was massive. And I wasn't compensating. Surely, I thought to myself, with an economy producing a GDP some real-world nations could only dream of. Efficiency? Not needed. I was a wolf. Wall Street wishes it could have taken the trades I did. But I am a true gamer, so I was not satisfied with mere riches. No, I also subjected him to relentless multi-prong offensives that, as you will see, were a sight to behold. And I did this without missing a beat with my macro. I could almost feel the airflow caused by your approvingly nodding head. However, no amount of money nor multi-prong could break my Terran opponent. He set his way to victory, carried by the imbalanced strength of his mechanized army, unmovable, unbreakable, unfair. In the end, I was left with no choice but to begrudgingly admit defeat at the hands of a player who, unironically, likely barely used his hands at all. My point is, if I'm able to outmine him this much, shouldn't I be able to own him? Why are Protoss ground units so poop? Why are Terran units so good with little management? And why do I have to make air units? Basically, the question here is Terran imbalanced? Or does he suck? Now, this got asked here by Heaven on the European ladder here in the Masters Leagues at 5.1k MMR, which is practically GM. He's wanting to know whether Terran is perhaps just a little bit too easy here at the Grandmaster level. And here we see Heaven fighting an old friend of mine, an old friend of the channel as well, Goody, also known as Sasha Loop, der Panzergeneral, the king of the tanks, at the start of StarCraft 2, at the very beginning in 2010, when all of you were still in university or in the late phases in high school. Sasha Loop, Goody, played Mech, and was it perfect? No. Was it mechanically very bad? Yes, but his brain, it worked like a machine. He saw tank positions where others just saw terrain, and he saw spots to defend in where others just saw a cliff. You know, Goody was the first real mecher. He was extremely powerful. I actually Googled him as well to figure out what he was doing now. And where he liked to build mech units in StarCraft 2, he now is project leader at Airbus. So literally just making mech units in real life as well, which I think is just absolutely beautiful. I wonder if on his resume he put that he's been creating machines for a very long time already. It's like, I create multiple machines a day. That is no problem for me. He didn't actually have that strong of a German accent, I think. Can't recall. I recall that Goody was a very good table tennis player as well. I think he was even ranked nationally in Germany, which is, of course, where he comes from, the Panzergeneral. Now, the man who submitted this replay is Heaven StarCraft, a phenomenal Masters. I think in North America, definitely Grandmasters, and I think in Europe, just on the edge of becoming a Grandmaster as well. Solid player. Known for his macro style. I'm familiar with him, of course. I'm familiar with everyone in the range of 5k all the way up to 7k. I've played them most likely at some point in my life. I play a crap ton of games. And Heaven is a good one. All right, he's a good Protoss player. And if he says that something is imbalanced, we got to take him serious. So what do we have here? Early game wise, we have a scout. He scouted everything. Okay, what does he see? He sees a command center, a factory coming up here as well, second gas as well. We have that bunker very far forward. It would be legendary if a unit decided to pass it by on the side. Marines now popping out. This Reaper is moving across the map at a rather slow speed. That does somewhat surprise me. Have an opening up with a Twilight Council. A little bit of a Reaper wall. Twilight Council. Let's see what Goody's plans are over here. Sending the Reaper back home. God. Doesn't want to harass, doesn't want to scout with it. Just wants to keep it alive for now. That's completely okay. What else do we have here? Orbital command starting on the natural. Second gate on the way here as well. As we're going to get a little bit of an adept attack. Now Goody, we know he's going to be playing Mech. Okay, I don't think Goody has ever researched Stim. Rumor on the street even is that Goody doesn't have a hotkey for Stim. So that he can't do it. Rumor on the street is also that Goody clicks all of his upgrades with his mouse though, rather than using the hotkey. So maybe not having a hotkey on Stim isn't that big of a deal in that case. Up with a Cyclone here, a Reactor on the barracks, Tech Lab on the factory, and I wonder if we're going to see Marines being popped out of this barracks that will be reactored, or if he's going to swap it with either the factory or the starport here. I know that Goody used to love Banshees as well. I recall for a while in 2011, I want to say, or 2012, I really struggled, and also in Heart of the Swarm at some point, I struggled with his Banshee mech style. Just couldn't figure out how to beat it. Back then everyone sucked massively, so styles that just kind of sat there and had tanks were really good because people had a low eco all the time. eBay here is being produced. Don't get fooled by it. That's not for upgrades. That's just because it's cheap to build it in the wall. Goody with a tiny little bit of a supply block here. And Heaven deciding to cut workers for a tiny tad, but not that long. Honestly, build order-wise, this is looking quite solid. We have that robotics facility coming up. It is post-Nexus. That is not a bad thing, though, against a Reaper. Like, build order theory-wise, I'm much preferring what I'm seeing here out of Heaven over what I'm seeing coming out of Goody. Goody's build order, quite frankly, just seems terrible. He's also moving from supply block into supply block. He was supply block at 46. Now he's supply block at 54. He's going to be taking a 4th gas already, despite floating 300 gas at this point. He's adding in a 3rd CC as well. Like, this is not efficient at all. This is the opposite of efficiency. Non-efficiency. Getting a turret on the edge, just in case it's like a 4-gate blink. If this was a 4-gate blink, I'm pretty sure that Goody still would die, because he legitimately just has no units. This isn't looking all that hot. It really isn't looking all that hot. Double forges as well, going up here on the side of Heaven. Heaven hasn't really been scouting, though. What's the chance he flies his observer into the turret, by the way? Oh, it's a pretty fat chance, isn't there? He's going to pretend like he doesn't care as well. He's not looking at observer. Yeah. You know, I can't even blame the guy for it. Because honestly, if someone builds a turret to deal with your observer, the guy that built the turret is the idiot, not the Protoss that loses the observer. I don't think you can flame the Protoss for losing an observer in a turret that is randomly placed here 5 minutes into the game. I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. However, if he loses a 2nd observer, then we're allowed to flame him. But see, Evan is a smart guy, except for the fact that he has legitimately 0 info. I feel like he's playing the player more than he's playing the matchup. Because if you were to open like this every single time against Terran, I reckon your win rate is going to suck pretty freaking hard. Legitimately 0 info whatsoever. He's seen a factory and a starport. That is pretty much it. He doesn't know... Look at his tank line. He doesn't know if it's bio or whatever, and he's taking a forward base off of double gases, getting an absolute 11 gateways already right now. Like, that's a crazy amount to me. That's really not okay. Barracks here floating in the dead space as the 3rd command center has finished up. And we have some serious oversaturation here as well in the natural. Supplies look very favorable for Goody, but that's of course because basically all of Heaven's money right now is being invested into infrastructure. He's adding 9 gateways on top of the 4 he already had. That brings the total up to 13. There are 2 forges out. Forward base, we get cannons as well in case of Heli and harass. We now have another random turret here just being added in, kind of in the semi-middle of the map, as the first Banshees actually are being produced here after we had 2 Vikings, a bunch of tanks, 1 Banshee. We're now going to get a 2nd Banshee and Cloak to finish up. What is this? This is the Blue Flame as well, the pre-infernal igniter. We're not seeing Cyclones, just a single Cyclone for early game safety. So really Goody practically still playing as in, you know, is in his heyday of StarCraft 2 in Wings of Liberty. He really isn't building that many units that weren't possible in the original StarCraft 2 without any of the expansion sets included. Now, when we're talking about Mech, there are a couple of possibilities, okay? So one thing you can do is you can really start dropping heavily with Zealot Stalker. What I personally like to do a lot these days is just massing Stalkers and then blinking on top of tanks. That tends to work very well. Then having a Prism for Zealot run-bys or Zealot attacks in the main or into the natural. And then slowly but surely transitioning into Disruptor and then Tempest. That way you're kind of have these natural transition into the next units that just win the game, to be honest. Like once you get Disruptor Tempest out against Mech, you usually just win because you have better eco and there's no counter to Disruptor Tempest that comes out of Mech. You're gonna need Viking Ghost, and you can't really transition easily into Viking Ghost if you're playing Mech initially. So yeah, I often feel like if you get to Disruptor Tempest, the game just ends. But Heaven here has different plans. He's going to play Pure Zealot Stalker. Now, if you want to bust your opponent, I feel like you need to attack as soon as possible, or you need to go with a bunch of Archons. I'm not a huge fan of Pure Zealot if you're hitting this late. Zealots don't scale very well against Mech due to the existence of the Hellbat, the existence of chokes, and the ability to wall things, which is what we're seeing Goody do over here. Like, this bottom side is not really a viable attack angle. The right side kind of is a viable attack angle, but at the same time, there's so many Hellbats already that this doesn't seem like a brilliant plan. Heaven is waiting for the 2-2 right now after neither player have really done anything whatsoever in the past 9 minutes. We're now, well, at least we're setting up for an attack. I also wouldn't mind if he just kind of sits here and waits until Goody moves out. For the sake of the game, I hope that's not what's going to happen, but for the sake of Heaven, I hope it is. So he decides to send 25 Zealots into a choke where I think 4 Zealots might have had surface area. 2 of them hitting the sensor tower, 1 of them hitting the CC, and then 1 Zealot hitting a tank. This was probably the worst fight he could have taken here. 2,700 resources lost for Goody. 6k resources lost on the side of Heaven, who is severely outmining his opponent here, by the way. But this was a fight. Feels like without any real objective. He just kind of went there. It's like, hey, I'm maxed. I want to not be maxed anymore. That's kind of what it felt like. Just, oh, this is also a wild one. Scouts forward, realize he killed 5 Hellbats before. Now moves in with 50 less supply. Move commands and starts attacking the bunker. Kills a bunker and a tank and loses about 30 Zealots there. So either there was no objective here once. He's actually going to rebuild the bunker. I love that so much. Either Heaven just doesn't have objectives or his objectives are really bad. What I do know is that Heaven would have, he possesses a quality that makes him one of the greatest people alive. Well, if he was a soldier in World War I, Heaven would have had a blast just walking, going for a cheeky stroll into no man's land. Okay, like he doesn't need a reward. There doesn't need to be a payoff at the end. The process is what he enjoys the most, which is going places and seeing things. And his Zealots also seem to really enjoy that process of just walking into the same meat grinder. Well, so far twice in a row now, but doesn't seem like Heaven is quite done yet with this crap. So he's going to be setting up another semi-flank. He has a lot of bases though. Look at this. We have 7 Nexi, 96 workers, and he's only on 5 gases. Like the mineral income at 4.5k is some of the highest mineral income I've ever seen out of a toss. It is possible to see this with Terran due to the Mule, but you almost never see this with toss. Because we usually just have higher gas counts. So this is kind of wild. This is honestly probably a bad trade, but better than any of the trades before. This is an interesting move as well. Particularly interesting because there's no reinforcement ability. And the fact that the Observer was not in position for the first 8 seconds of this fight. Resources lost. We see Heaven doubling his opponent. Now, while doubling your opponent usually is good, when it comes to resources lost, that is not a great thing. It's a bit like being proud that you've cheated on your partner twice as much as they have on you. So I'm not sure if that's a metric you want to put in your Tinder profile. But then again, what do I know? 4th base here. Well, this might be the 5th actually here being set up. We have a 4th here already. More Zealots as well. You're like, yeah, that tank looks interesting, but we could also stare down another SCV and lose 8 zealots. As overall, yep, 18k lost here for Heaven. Against the, well, almost 11k lost for Goody. Still not the end of the world. In a way, I feel like this fight, you know, it brought at least a little bit of progress. A lot of tanks went down. So really it's just pure Hellbat Banshee at this point. Then moving in with Zealots perhaps isn't the brightest call. I really don't quite understand why we're not getting any Archons. Archons are insanely strong against Mech, and so are Immortals actually. But Archons, they have so much, the ability to tank, and they're really strong against Hellbats. They're powerful against Banshees as well. They're just a good unit all around. Like, I'd love to see some gases and some of these Archons being added in. Yeah, okay. You know what happened here? This was pure disrespect. Okay, this was pure disrespect. Here, Heaven believed that his opponent was so slow that he wouldn't be capable of move commanding the Hellbats to the other side of the tanks. He was like, you know, I'm gonna hit from the different angle this time, and there's no way he's going to be capable of responding to it. And Goody, you know, he just kind of sits here, looks at it, he's like, makes like the mental calculations, you know, it's like, yeah, Hellbats in front, tanks in the back, Hellbats in front, what do I do? Pew! Makes the executive decision here to move the Hellbats to the front. Once again, these Zealots are getting absolutely slaughtered. Actually, Zealots going once again for the bunker. He's like, oh, that bunker's rebuilt. He probably placed a lot of value in that then. Let me take that out again. The bunker seems to be important for him, or I wouldn't have rebuilt it, surely. Has another attempt at it. Doesn't quite kill it. Deals a little bit of damage. Takes out, I think, 2 more SCVs. Almost deals 100 damage to this depot as well, while he loses 8 more Zealots. Overall resources lost 12k to 22k, as Heaven here hasn't even taken this base yet, is now taking the top right. So the total amount of next side that are out right now is 7. It's going to be, well, this base isn't, so it's 8. 8 versus 4. Big blink forward here. Damages the planetary halfway through. It's like, oh, it's in position again. The tanks are still there. I just don't quite understand what he think was going to happen this time around. You know, every single time so far he's moved into a position, there were tanks there. Did he really think that this was the timing where Goody thought to himself, you know what, I've been sitting back for 14 minutes. I'm not maxed yet. This is the timing where I'm going to unsiege all of my tanks and wait for the other guy to blink in. It's like, what the hell is this blink? This is also not multitasking, by the way. This is moving Zealots into a base and then blinking forward. And then you're like, oh, that was multitasking. This is not multitasking. This is queuing something up and then moving on the other side as well at the same time. This is a good pullback, though. I like that. That's solid. You know what you could do here? I should have paused. You know what you could do here? Is you could rotate the Stalkers towards the left side, take out these rocks, and then blink forward. Because, honestly, Goody has way too many tanks on this right side. So, although I freaking hate the game plan here coming out of Heaven, even with this game plan, it could have been better. Heaven, however, has a different rotation in mind. He decides to attack the angle where the most units are. Now, this is a very smart play. He just freed up about another 35 supply by losing all of these Zealots for free. So he can warp in another 8 Zealots and then another 3. Now, this is the type of genius that you don't see very often at this level. So it might confuse Goody. He's like, oh, he's throwing away Zealots. He's probably making an air transition. So Goody right now is thinking, maybe I need to add in some Vikings into the mix, you know? I need to start thinking of the late game, and boom, it's actually more Zealots. He just made space for more Zealots. This was a good blink forward. It's not very efficient, but he took out 2 bases, so that's better than he's done in the past, 10 minutes in all of these trades. Did end up losing a bunch of extra Zealots once more. Money is also kind of starting to run out. We're at 4k right now. Well, actually, these bases are still fine. What am I saying? No, this is doable. This is doable. We still have that top right side base as well. I'd love to see a Nexus here. Just going up to 9, I think, might be necessary because resources lost. We still see Heaven doubling his opponent. We have 11 Banshees out, 13 tanks. And now we have an Archon transition. Okay, 11 more Zealots. So he's like, I'm going to free up a little bit more supply by warping in Zealots, then getting rid of those Zealots and warping in a couple more. But then afterwards, surely we're going to see a serious transition into some actual units. I also feel like Heaven is kind of trolling here. He's like, oh, it's impossible to lose. This guy's an idiot, you know. Let me just send Zealot Stalker into his army this entire time, and then, you know, he accidentally got like a grant to build like a house of Lego. He got like 500 million or so, you know, as a subsidy. So he didn't think he was gonna get it. He got now he's like 500 grand. It's like, what am I gonna spend this on? And for the first like 9 months of the project of building this Lego house, he's just ordering bottle servers in the club. And whenever the bottle arrives, you know, I think these big champagne bottles, the most expensive one, just throws the bottle on the floor and looks the waiter in the eye and gives him a wink. It's like, that's how we do it here. 9 months in, most of his cash has been spent. And he realized he hasn't bought any Lego yet. Which is kind of a necessity when you're building a Lego house. It really is. A house made of Lego. It's probably pretty expensive. I was surprised how expensive Lego was. I once tried buying one of these Lego structures, a Hogwarts Lego structure, like a Harry Potter and with the wand. Jesus Christ, this is god-awful. And it's like freaking $150 or something. It wasn't even that big. Like, it was mediocre big. To get these little Star Wars thingies for like $15. Like, absolute rip-offs. Holy crap. I feel like 3D printing should take these guys out of business. Get out of here, son. This is a better army, by the way. That was a terrible engagement. They killed a planetary. Lost legitimately like another 20 zealots. This is a good move. This is the first time Goody has moved to the other side to do something. Kill the base. Yeah, that's enough for today, guys. We're going back home. Back to the airbase. God, he's a plane builder. Can't believe it. 15 Banshees out. Army value here, 3,500 gas, 6,700 minerals. Oh, base gets taken out again. 9 Archons out now. Honestly, there's also no solid angle to really engage into anymore. Because this has a ramp. This is a ramp. And there's no base here. Like, this feels kind of uncomfortable. In a way, I feel like Heaven... well, definitely shouldn't be attacking like this. It's just literally lining in here. 3 Archons first, then the next 2, then the next one. It is another one of the worst engagements I've seen in my life. If I were to make a top 5 of worst engagements in 2023, I feel like Heaven would be taking at least the top 3 spots. Maybe even just the entire top 5. It's like, dude, all of just beat this game. It's like another 30 zealots to kill a bunker. Oh, the bunker's gone, actually. Goody hasn't rebuilt it. I bet Heaven feels like he's got scammed now. He's like, wait, he didn't rebuild it again? I guess he didn't care about it. I invested all of this money. Oh, come on. Please don't do this to yourself. Like, this is insanity. This is actually insane. Like, he just keeps doing it. The madman. Like, he's killed two SCVs. Loses 15 zealots here. Killed like 2 tanks. Okay, this SCV is dealing more damage by itself than the 18 SCVs that went into the natural here. And here come another 17 stalkers as well. Starts targeting down Vikings. Because that's the real threat right now. Heaven, with his strong analytical mind, looks at this. It's like, I have a prism. And he has 8 Vikings. My prism isn't quite as good if there's 8 Vikings. Let me take those out real fast. It's like, he's also building a mothership. Like, honestly, at this point, it's starting to feel a little bit scary. Well, it's actually scary. Income is the same. Can't afford the bottle service anymore in the club. He's still trying, though. You know, he's ordering the bottles. And the bill comes in. He's like, well, you know, he's like, well, how about we trade that bottle for my t-shirt, you know? The waiter's like, nah, don't quite think that's something I'm down for. He's like, please. I need more zealots, please. I want to attack the eBay. There's still an eBay in the natural. You don't know about it, buddy. Like, all right, we can do it. Mothership here pops out. It's going to start moving across the map. I wish there was an upgrade that could make the mothership spin quicker. And then if it spins very quick, it kind of it rotates itself into the air further, like another level. You need, you know, like super space or something like that. And from there it can shoot down as well. I feel like that would be a cool game mechanic. Just have an invincible mothership on top of it. using his powers. There's a lot of Templar here, by the way, which is interesting, because Storm is not necessarily great against tanks. I guess it's pretty good against Banshees. Feedback's also good against Banshees. You know what? I like it. Just honestly, anything is better than throwing Zealots into the meat grinder. So he could be building Mass Sentry right now, and I think that would be more efficient than whatever the crap he's been doing so far. 52k to 26k. I'm not great at math, but that's pretty much exactly half. And it's nice to see. Gateway. You know, the reason why he hasn't taken this base is because he blocked it with a gateway and a pylon about 10 minutes ago. And now he doesn't want to take it out. He's like, that's wasteful. That's 250 resources he could be spending on Zealots. He's like, actually, I'll just go for the long distance mining here, guys. I guess otherwise I have to rebuild a pylon and a gateway somewhere. That'd be sick. And I only have 17 gateways. Oh, there goes the mothership. There come a couple of storms. I feel like those storms done more damage to the Zealots than anything else. But then again, Zealots don't really count when it comes to, you know, in Heaven's analysis. It's like, Zealots, nah, I can hit those. You know how people often say, I'd rather have one, what is it? I'd rather have 9 guilty men go free than 1 innocent man go to prison. And that's what Heaven says as well. I'd rather hit 1 Viking... rather hit 1 Viking and 9 Zealots than no Zealots. That's just... It's not entirely the same, but the logic here hasn't been completely thought out yet by Heaven. He just really likes making sure that Zealots die. And whatever it is, he'll change his philosophy to whatever achieves that goal. It's not very morally consistent when it comes to that, but I appreciate it anyway. You know, he's a man with a plan, and he's been following that plan to a T. Because so far he's lost 250 Zealots in a 22-minute game. That is more than 10 Zealots per minute that he's been throwing away. I wonder if these Zealots did more than 1,500 minerals in damage. I'm actually not entirely sure. I think they might have. Nah, not more than 2k. Like, they killed the bunker twice, so that's already 200. And I think Zealots have killed maybe a base, but we also seen a lot of lifts. I'm not sure if they've killed more than 2.5k. Like, the main damage coming from the Stalkers, I feel like, that we haven't seen. But I feel like automatically, and maybe with SCV kills. Yeah, maybe I'm over-exaggerating now. Here comes another attack. Zealots coming in from the bottom. These have been the best Zealots this entire game, as they took out a tank. That only cost him 7 Zealots there for a tank. Supply-wise, not the greatest trade. Forgot about the fact that there are 11 Banshees, so didn't take an observer with him. Happens to the best, you know. Banshees have only been out for about 12 minutes right now. Would be weird to be completely prepared for that. He just isn't building any either here. He's starting to seriously sweat. I can feel it. You know, the body temperature starts to go up a little bit here for Heaven. He's like, wait, I'm actually pretty poor. He's starting to count his opponent's mineral patch. Like, I still see 5. There's a couple over here. Like, maybe I can outmine my opponent. Now, honestly, he could if he just mines from here. All you really need to do as Heaven, still, to this day, all he really needs to do is just sit back, max out on Archon Stalker, get some Immortals in there, and then start mining from this left side base. I mean, you still have good mining here. You have a little bit of mining here. You have good mining on this right side as well. So you're going to be fully mining 2 bases against... Well, honestly, this is pretty empty. Like this, there's not that many minerals left here anymore at all. Well, yeah, that's not true. It's like 2.5, 3k. This one has nothing, though. And there's still this base. Should be capable of denying that. You just want to max out, right? You just go and once you're maxed out. Now, there is an observer here. Still not a single air unit, which is just really stupid. Just brilliantly dumb, really. Also, no observer speed. No stalkers here to help out. So he's actually just getting kited. I don't think I'd ever really say that the Banshee, you know, destroys an Archon. But I guess if you have nothing as a supplement here or like as an extra unit to help out, I guess Banshees just do kind of kite them to death. Yeah, with a couple of stalkers that should end. Absolutely. Very weird stuff. You have a bunch of Stalker Zealot here on the left side. Once again, Heaven doesn't need to do anything at this moment. All he really needs to do is just sit back, relax, throw down a fleet beacon, get a Stargate. He has 1 Stargate. He already has a fleet beacon. He's been building motherships. Right, he has. I completely forgot about it. He could just, like, literally could just add any amount of air units. Not entirely true. If he just adds a couple of Tempests here, like 4 or 5 Tempests, and this game is so far in his favor right now. This is a god-awful fight as well. Poorly synchronized. Loses his entire army on the bottom side. Once again, without an observer. How that is even possible, God knows. Is forced back here as well. Now, Goody is starting to feel, you know, he's feeling emboldened here. He's like, oh, that was a good fight. I think I can take this 5th base. 26 minutes into the game. Banshee's moving towards the left. Sees the recall. There's really not that much though. That's 3 Archons. That's it. Still 10 Zealots. We're about to hit the 300 Zealot lost number. That would be crazy. That is actually one of the highest numbers I've seen in like a serious game. I remember this game between, I want to say it was Nice versus Spirit in Intellect Stream Masters Katowice 2021. I feel that like that was 200 or so, or 250 as well. It's like just pure zealot the entire time, just being wasted again and again and again and again. I feel like this game has just been like a copy of that, except at a lower level and with significantly worse traits. So here come more Banshees. Once again, no observer with this army. Why that is, God only knows. Even God doesn't really know. It's like looking into Heaven's brain. First of all, looking for it. He just gets through the skull. It's like nothing there. And it finally finds the brain and starts looking for the process. It's like, man, this doesn't make any sense. This is poorly coded. I don't get any of this crap. Did I really do this? No shot. Freaking contractors, man. Writing crap code again. This is why I should do everything myself. I shouldn't have rested on that 7th day. Shouldn't have rested. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, Tempest actually being added in. Yeah. Like he's at this point, he's realizing he's about to lose some MMR. It's like, oh, I should probably build the good units now. Haha, the Zealot Stalker didn't work. Lol. Yeah. But he's been trying hard already for the past 8 minutes, and we can all feel that. Look at this, he's getting owned. You're getting owned, buddy. You're getting owned here by Goody. Their Panzer General does it again. GG. Puff. Clapped out of this game. Rinsed is what you've been. Heaven. You've been rinsed here by Goody. Poof. And I mean, this is just such a beautiful little game. This is a beautiful game because you have new blood versus old blood, okay? Goody here, he's playing for the win. Yes, his hands aren't as fast. Yes, his strategies might not be recent, and he's only built a single non-Wings of Liberty unit this entire game in that single Cyclone. Everything else this might have been a Wings of Liberty game for him, okay? But he won't be mocked. Not by someone like Heaven. And he sees him, he's like, Stalker Zealot, you think you can do that? I've been playing against Stalker Zealot since before you were born, you prick. Because Goody also played Mech in Brute. Now, he played Protoss in Brute War, I think. Maybe he played Mech in Brute War. Well, yeah, one of the two. Pretty similar in Brute War anyway. And, yeah, he's not getting mocked here. Haven't tried it. Mass Stalker Zealot obviously is god-awful. All of your engagements were seriously terrible as well. Your transitions into Archons were very late. Once you realized that the Stalker Zealot wasn't working, that was too late. You took the far left side base way too late. You kept attacking without even being maxed. You kept attacking at terrible angles. And all of your trades just sucked. And then finally, this is my favorite part, is that you were trying to, be like, oh, I'm going to try to do it without air units against Goody. Let's see if I can do it. And then you don't even stick to the challenge, So you have no skill and no integrity. You're a double loser because you end up going for Tempest and then still losing. This just makes me so freaking happy. This is like challenging your cousin to a game of chess, and you're like opening with some crap open. It's like, let's open with G4. You're never gonna see it coming. And then when your cousin goes to the toilet, you take away the queen from the board. Something like this. Like you're cheating. Yeah, no integrity, no skill. You suck. And that's just the way it is. That's also going to be it for me today, my dear friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this episode of Is It IMBA or Do I Suck? If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you all had a Merry, Merry Christmas. And I hope you all will have a great New Year as well. There will be more videos before them. I'm just going to say it every single day because I'm such a festive person like that. Thanks so much and bye-bye.